Hello and welcome back to another video. This video is really important to me. This video is more of like a story time, I suppose, and I'm just gonna be doing my makeup throughout. But this is how being goth has helped me with my confidence. I guess I always knew I was like different, and that sounds super cheesy to say, but I always felt different, even when I was very young. Like, I knew that I wasn't the same as other people. I was always the weird one. I was always very loud and outspoken and annoying, and I guess nobody else in my school was ever really like that. So I got bullied really bad just for being very loud and outspoken. And I had always liked drawing and reading and stuff like that more than sports, and pretty much everyone at my school was very athletic. So I never really fit in that way either. I was always kind of an outcast. Now, mind you, I did have like a small group of friends, but I was never popular or anything. I was always the weird one. When I was around, I'd like to say 9, so that was when I got my first iPod Touch. Remember those? I had started to grow an affinity for everything horror. I loved horror content, mostly movies and video games. I watched a lot of Let's Players like PewDiePie and Markiplier. And from that affinity of horror, I started drawing a lot of horror-related things, which my mom was probably like, let's take this girl to a therapist. I just really loved all things morbid, all things horror, especially creepypastas. Those were a huge thing. When I was growing up in like the 2010s, so the rise of like smartphones as we know them, and I was obsessed with creepypastas, like, so I was always drawing all this weird shit that all the adults in my life did not understand, and I had such morbid interests, but that was just me. It was just who I was. And everybody around me kind of grew to realize that, oh, she likes horror movies. And I really loved Saw. I used to watch the whole Saw series with my friend. We always had sleepovers, and I think I just loved it because of the shock value. And it was something I'd never seen before. It was something so obscene and dark and creepy, and I just thought that was so cool. But I got bullied a lot, like a lot, by pretty much everyone, even my own friends. I had a few friends that were just really mean to me all the time, and I couldn't understand why, because I was always nice to everyone. Even if people were mean to me, I'd never be mean to them back. I was always just a sweet kid, and I thought I was just an unlikable person, and that's why people were so mean to me all the time. So I started to have a lot of confidence issues. I had really no confidence in myself, because people would always just beat down on me, and I had no idea why. When I was around 10 to 14, scene and emo culture was very popular from where I was on the internet. I was in those sort of communities, but I wasn't really able to express myself that way. I always wanted one of those big scene girl haircuts. I always wanted that big hair. And I listened to a lot of emo and scene music. My favorite band was My Chemical Romance. I really love Panic at the Disco as well, but that's more pop punk, but still alternative. I had a lot of alternative music tastes. I wasn't really into listening to pop music like everybody else was my age, and I didn't understand any of those fads, really. They didn't concern me. I wasn't obsessed with boy bands like any other girls my age. I really loved horror and morbid things and alternative music and kind of nerdy things. I loved Transformers. I loved superhero movies and sci-fi, and I just didn't really fit in. I was more of a tomboy, and I feel like that's why I started to question my gender identity as well. I didn't dress femininely. I hated dressing femininely. I would never wear dresses. I would never wear skirts. I had issues with a lot of clothes, so I started to question if I was a boy, because that was around the time where I started seeing stuff online about different gender identities, and I thought, oh, maybe I'm a boy, maybe I'm gender fluid. And I started to express myself that way. I started to not dress femininely, which I never really did, but I dressed more masculine. I started to express myself in a very masculine way. But then I realized maybe I'm not a boy, I'm just bisexual. I was very open about it as well. I've always been a very open person. So of course I got bullied for that in school as well, but I never let that stop me. I was always nice to everyone, no matter what, no matter how rude they were, because I knew that all of their insecurities and them being not confident and them being self-conscious and them having issues, maybe even with their own sexuality, is what made them make fun of me. So I never made fun back. I just kind of took it, and I didn't understand why. People were just so mean to me all of the time, and I really did pity myself a lot. I felt bad for myself because I didn't know why people were always so mean to me. Then high school began, and I got in my first relationship, my first real relationship, within the first month of high school for me, and it was good at first, and then I realized, well, it took me until a few years down the line to actually realize, but all this person did was put me down to make themselves feel better, because I started gaining a lot of weight because of the medication I was on, and I was really, really not confident in myself. And this person would put me down all the time, even as a joke, but it wasn't a funny joke. It might have been funny to them, but I was always the butt of that at a lot of times. And a lot of the reason for me gaining weight in high school, as well as the medication, I tended to binge eat a lot as a coping mechanism, because I've always struggled with a lot of mental health issues, and that was one of the ways, other than harming myself, that I found solace. It made me feel good to eat a lot. So again, with the medication I was on, it was only making it worse. I was gaining a lot of weight, and my problems just weren't getting any better. It was all just getting worse. And it made me feel awful, and I felt like I couldn't break up with this toxic person I was with, because who else would want to be with me, really? I was lucky I got that person in my mindset, because I was fat, I was ugly, I was awful, and everybody hated me and bullied me for no reason. I had very, very little confidence. I had no confidence, really. So in high school, again, I got bullied for just existing, because I was fat, I was weird, and that was it. You know, kids are mean. And I wasn't really liked. People just thought I was weird. So I turned to substance abuse eventually. And with that, I lost a lot of weight. And I didn't realize it was wrong and it was unhealthy. I just saw it as, oh my God, I look good. And it was messed up, because people actually started talking to me more. And because I was one of those cool kids who did abuse substances, I had even more people to talk to, and I was pretty, and I was skinny, and I thought being skinny meant that I was pretty. And I was able to experiment with my style more, I felt, because I had the body for it, you know? I could never really wear anything all that out there when I was bigger, because, you know, fat people can't wear that stuff, in my mind. So I experimented with my style more, and this was around the time I got my first job. I worked at Subway, which was awful. So I was able to buy my own clothes and find the wardrobe that I really liked. So I turned to AliExpress and thrifting mostly, because they're both super cheap options, and I indulged in a lot of fast fashion at the time, but nobody else in my small town was kind of doing that sort of style. So a lot of people thought it was super, super cool. A lot of people were complimenting me, and I started dyeing my hair cool colors, because it was fun. I liked expressing myself that way. I realized I really liked the feeling of being unique. And I started to do my makeup around the same time I started to experiment with my style. So I was around 16 or so. I never really did makeup prior. So that was a journey for me as well, because I was absolutely awful at makeup at first. And I had no real style. It was just sort of the stuff I saw on Instagram that I thought was cool, and I would try to recreate it with the limited supplies that I had. And I would do this for hours and hours. I would just do my makeup, like, not to go anywhere. I would do a look, I'd take a few pictures, and then I'd wash it off and do it again. And I have very sensitive eyes, so this was actually awful because I constantly had red spots around my eyes. But it was so fun. It was such a fun era for me because I was relearning my femininity. I was able to wear skirts and I wore dresses and I did my makeup and I felt feminine and I didn't hate it. I really liked it. I really, really like being feminine. And that's something that makes me very happy, is that I was able to reclaim that for myself. So I was still losing weight from substance abuse. And originally I saw this as a good thing because I could wear crop tops. I'd never worn a crop top. And I could express myself and do more cool clothes without being stared at in a bad way. People would just look at me and think, oh my God, she's so cool, she's so pretty, she's skinny, that's so fashionable. And it got to the point where I just continued losing weight and it became really, really bad and I was very unhealthy. So I looked at myself and then I was really not confident. I was very self-conscious, actually, because then I was too skinny. I was really small. And people started saying stuff like, oh, she smokes crack, like she's a crackhead, which I didn't smoke crack. And it kind of broke me because there was no way in which I felt my body was right, you know? I was either too fat or too skinny, and I felt disgusting. So I stopped abusing substances. It was a huge turning point for me, and it was the most mature decision I think I've ever made because I realized that I was not going down a good path in life. So I stopped using substances, and this was right around the time that quarantine started. This was in 2020, and that was my senior year of high school, the year I should have graduated. And I wasn't able to do anything. I was at home, so I just ate. You know what? Like, I ate, and I got healthy. I didn't overeat. I had a better relationship with food because I realized that my body was something that I had to take care of. My body was something that I had to nourish. You know, it's not just a fashion accessory. That's not what it is. So quarantine is when I started to care about my body and I became healthier again. And it was great because I was still experimenting with my style. So when I was around 17, my current boyfriend, we've been together for almost 5 years, he showed me music like Depeche Mode. He showed me Enjoy the Silence by Depeche Mode, and I loved the sound of it. I just was enthralled by it. So I started trying to find more music like that when I was around 17. And I found a lot of goth music. I found The Cure, I found Bauhaus, I found a lot of dark music that I really, really enjoyed. It felt like it encompassed how I felt in a lot of ways. So I listened to a lot of goth music and I looked into goth culture a lot because I found it absolutely beautiful. I felt like it told a lot about who I was, and I wanted to express myself that way, but I wasn't sure I'd be able to fully take the plunge in a way. So I just started experimenting still with my style, and I had always loved thrift shopping, and I started doing that a bit more, which was great. I was still buying a bit of fast fashion because that's all I could afford. But thrift shopping as well, it's not the best in my area, but I was starting to find some really, really cool stuff. And my style slowly turned darker. And when I was 18, I started referring to myself as goth. And I felt that's who I was. I had morbid interests in a way. And I listened to goth music and I really loved the culture. So that's who I became. I became goth. And I was really, really afraid of dressing that way to school because I got bullied before just for being, you know, chubby. So how would people react when I was like the only goth person in the school? And I was really scared because I live in a hick town. There's like nobody. Well, there was like nobody alt here at the time. So I was really, really scared. But it turns out the people were really, really nice to me about it. Even the people you'd assume would be like rude about it. Like the popular girls, like they were always so nice to me. And it really taught me to not judge a book by its cover, because there was some girls who were super, super popular, and they would always come up to me and be like, oh, I love your makeup. I love your outfits. And it just made my day so much, because they're just people, you know, even though they're popular, even though they're the type of people that I used to envy and really hate because they had what I wanted. They were really, really nice to me, even though I was different, even though I was weird. They just understood me for who I was. I've always been a super energetic and happy and loud and oftentimes annoying person. But they saw my personality and they saw how bright that was and separated it from the way that I dressed. And yeah, there's people that are still rude to me because I look the way I do and because I dress the way I do. But I don't really care, because that's just their own ignorance. They can't open up their hearts to other people just because they have a darker style, just because they dress differently and they express themselves differently, because they love to dress differently, because they love darker things and they have interests that aren't the norm. They can't accept that, and that really breaks my heart. It makes me sad for them. I'm not angry. It doesn't offend me. It just makes me feel bad for these people because they can't open their hearts to something different. So I started to be more active on social media, such as Instagram and TikTok. I would post my makeup. I would post my outfits. And I really started blowing up. A lot of my TikToks went viral. And I was like, whoa, what the heck? I'm just doing this for fun, but people really enjoy my content. So I started posting YouTube videos because a few people that followed me on Instagram suggested that I do so. I start posting makeup tutorials. And I was like, yeah, why the heck not? I posted my first one as literally a joke. If you scroll all the way down on my channel, my first video is literally just like, it says like natural church makeup, and it's just like this really obviously not natural church makeup. And people actually started to watch my videos, so I started making more of them. And eventually I grew a little community. And it was insane to me. Like, I have a whole little community that really enjoys my content. And you guys are commenting on my videos and commenting on my posts. And you're really liking my content. And that's absolutely insane to me. It means the world to me, truly. Because I never thought I would get that support, you know? From the little girl inside of me that just thought everyone hated her just because she was her. It means the world to me. It makes my heart so happy to have all of you people that really, really support me. And that was a big factor in my confidence as well. Not because of validation, but just because people looked up to me. It's crazy when I get comments about that. People actually looking up to me. Like, what? That's insane. It's mind-boggling to me. I have 3,000 subscribers. 3,000. And I know social media has conditioned people to think of numbers and followers in like a smaller term than it actually is, but 3,000, that's like double the amount of kids that went to my high school. And that's just my YouTube subscribers. Like, that's insane to me. It's amazing to me. So when I say thank you to you guys and that I love you, it's not an obligation. It's true and sincere, and it's from my heart. Thank you for helping me gain the confidence that I have today, because you guys were a major part of that. When I started expressing myself as goth, it made me realize it wasn't my body that made me beautiful. It wasn't my body that made me confident. And it wasn't even my cool makeup. It was me. It was my personality that I had infused into my every makeup look, into my every outfit, into every way I express myself. It's me, deep down, not my body. My body is not a fashion tool. My body is not something that just looks beautiful, and it's not something that should be perfect. It's something that keeps me alive, and it holds the most sacred part of me, which is my soul, which is my brain, which is how I express myself. That's what makes me confident. It's my attitude and my personality. It's not my body or how I look, but how I look sure makes an impact. And that's not a cocky thing. It's an image that I've created. I've created what I look like. I've dyed my hair, I do my makeup, I shave my eyebrows, and I express myself in the way that makes me feel confident and makes me feel happy. But that's not really my body. I'm just putting a mask on when I put on my makeup. And not in the sense that I'm hiding myself, but in the sense that I'm creating a person that I can be confident in. You have to create that person, and not physically, but mentally. Confidence is all in your brain. It has absolutely nothing to do with how much your weight is on a scale. Trying to fit in and follow trends just because they're popular really dulled my sparkle. I knew I was different deep down, but I was never able to express that because I was always afraid of people bullying me, because that's what had happened before. But I'm not afraid anymore. I know that what people are saying is just a reflection of their own self-doubt and their own lack of confidence, and I feel bad for them. I like to see it as we have a sort of symbiotic relationship. You, of course, as the viewer, and I as the creator. We're both looking for the same thing. Someone to give us confidence. Someone to help us find out who we are. And most of all, somebody who believes in us. No matter who we are, what we look like. Thank you. Because if I've helped you with any of that stuff, you've definitely helped me tenfold. Thank you guys for so much of your support. So thank you. Thank you for watching this video. Thank you for subscribing, and thank you for all your wonderful comments. I'll see you next time. Love you. Bye!